We are in an era which I believe that we're coming out of a great cycle. They're called epochs. We're coming out of a great epoch for humanity, that we are going into a golden age. And we are in a position, as where we are right now, to be the people that, or the humanity that is building the foundation for this new dawning. It's been happening and it's been gradually happening, but we are actually, most of the people, especially in this group, and kind of like people that are on the path of spirituality. I mean, there's different grades of it, are awakening to parts of ourself and parts of our DNA that have been sleeping for many, 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 many eons. And we're waking up to that and we're creating a new reality. But in the process of that, everything around us looks kind of chaotic. And it's kind of like a birthing process. Most of us here are women. And if any of you have had a baby, you know that going through birth is not usually a very it's kind of not disruptive, but it's hard. You're going through that birth process of birthing something and you get the birth pains. That's where we're at right now. What I like to do in planetary comets for me is not predict what's happening in the moment, but what's happening over a greater period of time and where we fit into the collective of that. Now, oftentimes astrologers will talk about, well, we're having a Mercury aspect, or we're having a Venus aspect, or we're having a Mars aspect. Those are all everyday aspects, but I am going to be addressing where we are in the collective and what is happening. Especially, I'm going to weave in what's happening with the sun right now and how each of the signs are reacting to that. So, that said, we have personal planets. Those are our everyday. That's how we communicate in our everyday life. We have personal planets. Mercury is the way we communicate. It's the way we understand the life around us. It's the way we get our information and the way we communicate with each other. That's Mercury. It's a little icon with a circle and a little feelers on the top of how we take in energy in, and then how we inform ourselves and give it to other people. Venus is what our value system is. It's it's what we love. It's what our passion is all about. It's oftentimes it's significant of the looking glass. It's a reflection of ourselves in the world. It's what we want to manifest. Mars is where we want to initiate something, but oftentimes Mars has a bad rap. It's where we want to war with everything, where our arguments are or where it's disruptive. But I like to use Mars as where we initiate where we're going, whether we're initiating how we communicate with somebody or where we initiate a new project. I use Mars in that context. Like I said, it's often the planet of war, but in our everyday lives, I like to use it, and it can be where we're argumentative. I mean, that can be an unskillful aspect of Mars. So those are the personal planets. The social planets are Jupiter and Saturn. And Jupiter is where we have our belief system. So many of us have an indoctrination to going to church or having a belief system or Buddhism or what are just our higher level of bringing our philosophical, like structures to each other. What it's our belief system, it's our truth. And we always, so when I say social planet, oftentimes we'll all go to church together, or we'll all go to a spiritual experience together, or we'll go to, it's group consciousness. It's how we interact and the people that we're most comfortable communicating with and have something in common with us, our belief system. Saturn is where we are conditioned to our education system, our government. It's our um, medical system. It's a group. It's kind of like it's kind of like a group interaction with how we educate everybody, and it's all different all over the world. Or anyway, so that's Saturn. But then we have the three transpersonal planets, and they always affect the collective. Uranus is the first one of them. And Uranus is what breaks up structures. And we are going to be addressing a little bit of that tonight. Neptune is where we have our intuition. It's where we go inside of ourselves and we have those sudden flashes of insight. It's our intuition. And Uranus can be sudden flashes of intuition anyway. Neptune is more of maybe our psychic senses, how we have a feeling about something. And Pluto is where we restructure our lives. So we as a collective right now, each of those planets are entering particular signs, and that is going to give the flavor of how we are going to change the world around us. Since 1919, I'm gonna redefine what true sky astrology is, because when I speak tonight, I'm mostly going to be referring to true sky astrology. Most of us are familiar with tropical or Western astrology. You are born at a certain time of the year, and this is most often what you read in a newspaper. Or if you're born from, I have it. Oh boy. Okay. In Western astrology, if you're born from March 21st or March 20th to April 19th, most often you're in Aries. If you're born from April 20th to May 20th, you're often a Taurus. May 21st to May 20th is a Gemini, and so on and so on. So we all know what our astrological sun sign is. It was devised about 200 AD that they would put the astrological signs in relation to the seasons. So Aries was always with the spring equinox. Cancer was always with the summer solstice. Libra was always with the fall equinox, going into fall. It divides the signs into seasons and everything in between. It's an equal 30 degrees for each sign. Vedic astrology is the same. It has 30 degrees for each sign, but there is 23 degrees difference. And the reason is they have, over the years, as we do the precession of the equinoxes, that's like the earth is spinning. It points to a particular star in the sky, and that's called the pole star. So Vedic astrology uses 30 degrees for each sign, but it's 23 degrees backwards. True sky astrology goes to the actual constellations as they are in this very minute that we are here, or when we were born. And the interesting thing about true sky astrology is that not all of the signs are equal, and they're much, much different. And I am going to go over those because we are going to utilize the sun sign that you have thought all your life, Western astrology, unless you have your Vedic sign and you know that. And what your true sky astrology sign is, because we're going to reflect over what is going on with our sun right now and how we are managing the energy that's happening on the planet right now. So I'm going to give everybody's True Sky Astrology the numbers, and you kind of jot that down, okay? Because we're going to utilize this a little bit later as we talk about what's happening with the solar storms, okay? So for Aries, Aries in True Sky Astrology is approximately, and it's kind of 3 day, if you're like on the cusp, like if it's 3 days before, 3 days after, you know, just you kind of blend it together. So Aries is April 21st to May 12th. Taurus is May 13th, actually starting today, to June 19th. Gemini is June 20th to July 16th. And I will try to explain True Sky a little bit more, but I want you to write these numbers down. Where your birthday is going to fall into one of these little categories. Cancer is July 17th to August 6th. Leo is August 7th to September 14th. Virgo is September 15th to November 3rd. There are a lot of degrees in the sign of Virgo in True Sky Astrology. The constellation spans across many, I had that amount of degrees. Well, I had it. Oh, here it is. Virgo is about 50 degrees. About 50 degrees. So many people are born in the sign of Virgo, and they might have been in a Scorpio before, which my daughter, she was born in the sign of Scorpio in Western astrology, and now she's a Virgo, which actually fits her better. Okay. Libra is November 4th to November 22nd. Now, if you think about Libra, it's not very many degrees. Scorpio is very small. It's November 23rd to December 6th. Now there's a 13th sign in True Sky Astrology, and it's called Ophiuchus, spelled Ophiuchus, Ophiuchus. And it's December 7th to December 18th. Sagittarius is December 19th to January 19th. Capricorn is January 20th to February 13th. Aquarius is February 14th to March 9th. And Pisces is March 10th to April 20th. Now, these signs overlap. So if you are right on the cusp of the first day that I told you, you are kind of a combination of the sign before and the sign that you are. Okay, so just kind of focus that in. So True Sky Astrology, I think there are apps that you can put on your cell phone. And those apps will actually you can look up at the sky and see where the constellations are in the very second that you're looking up. And that's what True Sky Astrology is about. And I'm finding out that Western astrology is kind of a collective way of putting you into a particular sun sign. Vedic, to me, takes it a little deeper where you're working with your soul consciousness. And true sky astrology has to do with your purpose and where you're going. So as we are going into this golden age, we're waking up to different facets of ourselves. So at one point, we thought we were a particular way. And those of us that are especially here are way showers. We're going into where is our soul going and what is our purpose? And that's what we are discovering. So what I want to do is integrate what's happening with our sun as we speak and how it's affecting us as it's going through its transitions right now. It's not a coincidence that our whole solar system is going through an upgrade. And that's what's happening with the sun. The sun goes through various cycles. And right now, as we know, we're waking up to a new age. Our sun, the life giver of our particular solar system that we live in, is going through transformation itself. It's going through a transition. And when we see an intensification of these solar flares, that's an indication that those changes are happening. And those of us on the planet within the last week have been seeing signs of this. I mean, you can take pictures of the sky and you can see the aurora borealis and see what's happening, and it's changing the magnetic field of our planet. But we are bioenergetic. We are affected by that. And depending on what sun sign you are going to manage the energy different in the way that the sun is going through a transition. Because the sun is kind of like the light giver of our particular solar system, is when it goes through change, it's going to affect each and how we relate to the world around us. So I'm going to kind of go over that. So what I need you to do if something I say triggers something or inspires you, kind of write that down, because when we go into meditation tonight, this is how those solar flares are affecting you. So I'm going to go over each of the signs and talk about their unskillful qualities and their skillful qualities, and how you can upgrade, and how you can and how you are responding to the world around you, how all these changes are affecting. It's kind of like what your prototype is being affected by these solar flares, and each of us have a different way of relating to it. So according to our sun sign, whether it's our true sky, our Western, or our Vedic sign, we are responding to these solar flares in a particular way. And we can even go into a greater degree of that if we have our whole chart done, because not only is our sun in a particular sign, all the planets in the solar system when we were born are in a particular sign as well. So I'm just making it very simple. I'm just talking about the sun sign tonight and how the sun in our chart is affecting us and the world around us and the world that we live in. So Aries, we'll start with Aries. And I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do all the fire signs first, all the earth signs. And this year is a wood dragon year. which means we're getting back to basics. We are simplifying our life so that when we go into this golden age, we can resonate on a very simple, heartfelt level. We're simplifying our life, and because the mental field that has kind of conditioned us is kind of changing to going into your intuitional body, your purpose body, your soul body. It's what you perceive in the minute. It's what you perceive when you go inside of yourself. So Aries, the unskillful application of Aries can be hot-headed, rash, impatient, impulsive, impetuous, excitable, uncontrollable, and they always can jump in the frying pan before they're ready to, and they can burn themselves out. So those are the unskillful applications of the Aries sign. And when these solar flares happen, it can aggravate this part of yourself. But you want to go within your heart and bring it to a level of developing your radiance, your creativity to start something new for the future, for all of humanity. Being spontaneous, but being spontaneous by being in your heart, using your passion to drive yourself forward. Use that daring part of yourself to not just jump into the frying pan, but go inside of your heart and know that you have a choice to be different. You can choose to be different than your everyday self. I mean, so whether you're and you can and you're using your radiant quality, so you are a pioneer. Aries on a true level is a pioneer, so one that goes forward and says, follow me, I will guide the way. That is a positive aspect, and people follow, but you must do it in a very heart-centered way. So everything we're talking about is bringing it back inside of your heart so that you can be a way shower from a soul level and not a personality level. Now we're going to talk about Leos. Leos can be domineering, egocentric, overwhelming, insensitive, very self-centered, ego-centered, because obnoxious, because they want to show everybody who they are. But the skillful application of that is courageous and enterprising and independent and free. So you're showing people how you can be confident in a creative way through your heart. You're showing what you can create from going inside of yourself. It's more of a your self-confidence comes from your heart and not from an egocentric center of who you are. You're assertive, but you're assertive from a heart-centered way. So Sagittarius, the unskillful applications are overzealous, fanatical, the fanatical person who thinks that their religion is the only way. Well, it's their belief system is the only way. Unrealistic, um, chases false hopes and beliefs. Oftentimes, a Sag can put their They come forward, they're very truthful. Sag is truthful, but it's coming truth from your heart, not just being impulsively truthful of like, thinking before you act. So Sages on a skillful application are enthusiastic, exuberant, inspirational, spirited, impassioned, and optimistic. They're very optimistic. From a heart-centered way, the glass is always half full and never half empty. So now we're going to go into the earth signs. We'll go into Taurus first. The unskillful applications, they can be overly conservative, afraid to take risks, security oriented, opportunistic, and unenterprising. Now, you might know people in your life that have these things. So, I mean, maybe just even though this is maybe reflecting you, people around you that this can be true of. But in the skillful application of Taurus, they're practical, pragmatic. Once they start a project, they will keep on going and going and going until they get to the other side. They're realistic, dependable, reliable, trustworthy, deliberate, but cautious in a good sense. It's not the cautious where you're afraid to do anything. Virgo, unskillful application. They can be stubborn and rigid and unyielding and narrow-minded and has tunnel vision. This is the only way to do it. They're very critical and they criticize everybody around them. They're very, critical of people around them. Possessive. I never thought of a Virgo possessive, but I don't know, maybe they are, because my way is the only way. And if you do it this way, it's not the way I would do it. And they're just always critiquing everything around them because they can always do it better. I think that that's what Virgos are. But in the skillful application, they're grounded, they're solid, they're stable, structured, and they can be very sensuous. They're very, very one with the earth. All the earth signs can be sensuous in some way or another. They have good taste, it's good food in what they do. And Virgo will always give you, if you want to have a good meal, have a Virgo prepare it, or a Cancer. Capricorn, they can be inflexible, obstinate, unbending, control oriented, immovable. I am leading the way, and this is the only way I'm going to lead. I've studied all my life, and this is the way we know how to do it. And that's, the world has always been doing it this way. This is the way to do it. But Capricorn in the skillful application is patient, enduring, persevering, prodding, industrious, and productive. It's the boss that you've always wanted to work for, or the boss you always wanted to be. You understand that if you are guiding people, you understand what they're going through, and you have a way of helping people be productive in a way that everybody is all inclusive. We're all working together to have something happen or to create something. It's a corporation that everybody wants to work for, the job that everybody wants to have, or the boss that everybody wants to have. Okay, the air signs, Gemini. Geminis can be flighty. This is the unskillful application. ethereal, over intellectual. They know everything. They know a little bit about everything, and they can jump into a conversation, but it's never substantial. It's insubstantial. Spacey and ungrounded. Flip from this thing to that thing. I mean, they're fun to be around, but say I've been around some Geminis where they're just fun to be around, but nothing is ever brought to completion because they know a little bit about this, a little bit about that. But on a skillful application, they're very intellectual. They can think abstractly because they have so much to pick from and so much to bring forth through their heart-centered self. They're theoretical. They can put something together that makes sense. Conceptual and logical. They take all the information that they gather and they bring a plan together to create something. Libra. To me, Libras can be indecisive. It might be this way, it might be that way. They want friends no matter what, I mean, like I could see your side of the situation and I could see your side of the situation, but they don't give you an answer. They can be wordy, they can be meddlesome, gossipy. But a true Libra sees the balance and harmony in everything because they're coming from their heart. They can bring people together because they see the the masculine part of it and the feminine part of it. They bring it together. They blend it together to make something whole. They're friendly and gregarious, curious, inquisitive, and alert. They can communicate. They're very good communicators because of this, because of seeing the balance and harmony in everything. The unskillful application of Aquarius is, and I find this they can be detached, but detached in a way of holding back. I know a few Aquarian people that kind of drive me crazy because they they give you the silent treatment sometimes because they're trying, too much. Everything's too much for them. They're unfeeling, aloof, and distant and removed. But that is the unskillful application. The skillful application is objective, impersonal, impartial. They're usually very unique in what they do. They're fair and they're tolerant. They want to bring everybody together in a universal way. They're very humanistic. Let's all get along. I understand what your strong points are and your strong points are and your strong points are, and we can blend these together and make something more than what it is. They're clever and they're witty. Cancer, the unskillful application, overprotective, smothering, clingy, and needy. The skillful application is nurturing, providing, protecting, shielding, giving a nice, safe foundation for something. Scorpio, the unskillful application is like they can be very fearful or insecure, or always like the insecure or fearful in the way that, oh my God, the worst is going to happen. I know death, and it's, that they worry about the depth of things and if it's going to work out. They're protective and they can unskillful application. very silent sometimes and secretive. But Scorpios on a very skillful level are feeling and emotional and sensitive and empathetic and compassionate, but they also have the ability to go to the depth of what is making their lives work or what is making you work. They can understand the depth of who you are. They can see deep into parts of yourself that you cannot even imagine. And they bring that part of you so that you can find they're detectives, but they're detectives in a good sense where they bring forth the part of yourself that you might have your blind spots to. And Pisces, they may be chaotic, lacks ego strength. They don't want to come forth with everything. They want to hide behind the scenes, or they could be powerless or dependent or watered down or victimized. And those sound like terrible words, don't they? But that's unskillful application. But Pisces on a very high level is flowing and receptive. They are the ones that understand what's happening in the collective. They're very psychic. And when they pull back from the greater whole of things, when they have to take some time to themselves, they reflect on it so they can bring something to a higher level forward. They can be mysterious, but it's mysterious in a good way. They understand the mysteries of the universe and they can bring that forward. So, the reason I'm bringing up the skillful and the unskillful application is because when the sun is emitting a lot of energy, it may activate these unskillful aspects of yourself. And what we have to do is pull with inside of ourselves, center within our heart, and raise ourselves to the skillful levels. And that's easier said than done. Yes, easier said than done. Because oftentimes we want to go into the line of least resistance. So I don't know if anybody wants to come forth and say if any of you have can see parts of yourselves part of this happening as we've been going through the solar flares this week. Crystal?
I
Yeah,
did
okay,
it.
you're off on mute.
Okay. Hi. Yeah, I can see the deeper aspects of some of my junk being thrown in my face and just really come that deep stuff that you don't think is really um, doing anything in your life, but then when it gets triggered, you're like, holy shit, this is really kind of big. So I've actually been going through that for the past since the solar flares started doing their things, and we haven't even had the big one hit yet. So
I
we still
know.
have one. We still have one more coming. So I'm like, okay, here we go. But I look at it like this is like cleaning out the pipeline that doesn't really get cleaned out because I think those deeper layers have, like I've talked to you before, those deeper layers have to be cleared out so we can do our little poppy thing up at the top.
Exactly. But we have these things so that we can. Yes,
Mhm.
it is. And they're not, and you know what? When I say unskillful, I don't want to say negative or whatever it is because it's our line of least resistance. And we have
Mhm.
inherited this through our genetic heritage, our ancestral lineages, our racial lineages. All of our lineage have brought forth, but it's given us gifts that we can utilize in challenges.
Mhm.
And our gift right now is to acknowledge our challenges, acknowledge our unskillful behavior, bring it back within ourselves, transmute it transform it to bring it to a deeper level. And it takes time, it takes patience. But basically, I'm bringing this forward so that when it comes up, don't think like I have these terrible things that I have to heal. Say, oh my God, there it is again. I see you. Oh my gosh, my blind spots are coming up. And I wanted to give you both your true sky astrology sign and your Western and Vedic sign, basically because you can look at it. How can I utilize this in my everyday level and bring it so that we can work together so that we can create a new future? Now, last week was also a new moon, and in True Sky Astrology, it was in Aries, and the new moon in Western astrology was in Taurus. So, how I would interpret that was a new beginning. So, we are in the first quarter square. That means the challenge of what we could have began next week. And how I see that is what's being reflected to us. What do we really value? Which would be Taurus, which would be the new moon. And in true sky astrology, how can we initiate and bring that forward? So this is the energy we're working with right now. Transiting Mars right now, remember I say is Mars is where you initiate something. Transiting Mars in true sky astrology now is in Pisces. So everything that's happening, we have to bring to a deep level within ourselves, use our intuition, and jump forward with how we're going to approach our everyday life. It's really, really important for us to embrace our intuitive qualities. That first sudden inspiration that we have within ourselves, or that warning sign within us that something challenging is going to happen. Know that and acknowledge that so that you won't be a victim of what's happening, or you will not miss an opportunity of, oh, I should have taken that opportunity to do so. Now, what's happening right now in true sky astrology is Uranus. Remember I said Uranus is the planet of unpredictability. It's about shatterings. And in Western astrology, Uranus right now is in Taurus. It's been there for, I think, since 2017 or 2018. So what is Taurus? Taurus is all about your talents. It's about what your desires. It's about what you want to manifest. So 2017, I think that I'm not sure what was happening in 2017 about manifestation, but I think that what's been happening over the past 6 or 7 years, with all that's been happening on the planet, I think we have been questioning what our true value system is, especially when we had the little cucaracha come in, and that's what Christina uses the little cucaracha, and I think we all know what that happened in 2020. And so there were kind of like two sides of the fence. One people went by the establishment, and one people said, you know what? I'm not sure if I want to do that. But that was intuitionally going into what you valued. But in true sky astrology, as we speak, Uranus is going into the sign of Taurus. So Western astrology was a precursor of helping us decide how we wanted to bring our talents forward in the world around us to establish and manifest a life that we want to live. and not what the establishment says we are going to live. How we want to initiate our health, what is valuable to us and our health, what type of government do we want, what type of educational system do we want, how do we want to manifest that and create that and bring that forth, those talents forth. So since 2017, the general population has been kind of questioning what we want, but now I guarantee in the next 10 years, because Uranus breaks up structures, is going to be going through the sign of Taurus the next 10 years. Everything that is not aligned with your value system is going to be broken up and challenged so that you can bring forth what is really important from a heart-centered way. And I'm going to bring something that happened to me because Uranus is just going into Taurus right now. And remember I said true sky astrology, all the constellations are not equal. So in true sky astrology, Uranus, which breaks things up, went in the sign of Aries. Remember, Aries about the ego, Aries about the self, Aries about innocence, Aries about initiating. So in 2019, in true sky astrology, Uranus went into Aries. And what's been happening since 2019? What we thought we knew as individuals is being challenged. How we thought we wanted to initiate our life has been challenged. Unexpected, things have been happening. We had the 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 cucaracha in 2020, and everything has been happening that because of that, some businesses failed and something came up. It how were we going to make our way in the world? All of that has been questioned and been breaking up. But Uranus going into Taurus as we speak in the next month or so, we are going to really go into a period of everything that's not aligned with our soul is going to be challenged and taken away from us because we no longer need it. It's no longer going to work in the world around you. What you thought you wanted to do as a career is no longer going to work. I'm talking about people on the path of this new golden age. There are people out there that, they don't give a darn about any of this. But each and every one of you that are here know that we want to feed our soul at a very, very, very high level. We want to feel whole and complete with it. We don't want, it's that hungry ghost within us that keeps bringing things in, and it's never enough. It's never enough. It's never enough. It's never enough money. It's never enough food. It's never enough this. It's never enough that. We can have this job and it's never enough money, it's all that. But now we are going to create a world within ourselves that we are doing that feeds us just the right amount to grow and establish ourselves and feel at peace and feel fulfilled. Enjoy life the way we were meant to enjoy it. So anyway, it's very interesting. I was on a retreat last week up in Vancouver. A group of us were up there. And it's very interesting because we were working with the elementals, Sasquatch, the fairies, the gnomes, the trolls, all of that. And they were giving us insight to how we can work together with the other kingdoms, which is very valuable right now because we're opening up to not just thinking the three-dimensional plane that we live on is all there is. There's much more to life. There's the cosmos, and there are the beings off the planet and into the other star systems, but they're also interdimensional beings. And we are doing is working on a plan so we can all work together.